going on, guys? My name's Chris. You're watching Raising the Bar. Today we're going to be talking about milestones and how we can feel less than for not hitting those milestones in our life. So let's talk early on. You grow up, you go through the educational system, you graduate from high school, and then what? There is a certain pressure put on us to find an occupation and figure out what we want to do with our lives. So some folks will take up a trade, some folks will get into various entry-level jobs, and some folks will go to college to pursue an education in a particular field. Now, let's say, for instance, you're 22, 23, you don't have a trade, you don't have an education, and you're working a basic job struggling to make ends meet. How do you feel in that situation when you look at the peer group that you associated with or maybe you graduated with, and you look at social media and you see where they are and you look at where you are and you feel less than? Don't worry about that. And the reason that I say this is because this initial milestone, or however you want to phrase it, is different for everyone. Some people do not have the ability to go straight into a four-year institution and graduate with a degree. Some people don't know what they want to do. And if it takes you a little longer to figure out where you want to take your life, there is nothing wrong with that. Take the time to figure out what it is that you want to do, because you don't want to be on the other end of the spectrum where you do go to a four-year educational institution, you come out with a degree, tons of debt, and you realize once you get into that field, you don't even like it. That's a bad situation. That's a bad scenario right there. So if you took a little bit longer to figure out what it is you wanted to do with your life, and then on the other end of it, you're happier, was that time wasted? Or is that time well spent? I like to think that it was time well spent. Let's fast forward a little bit. Now you're mid-20s, maybe coming up on your 30s, and you're on social media again, and you see people getting married, you see people having kids, buying houses, and maybe you're not in a relationship. Maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you haven't bought a house yet. And you get these feelings of envy and maybe even disdain for those people, resentment, perhaps. You don't feel good about yourself because you see these people putting the highlight reel up, and you're looking at your life feeling as if you haven't accomplished enough, and you can't help but compare to what you're being exposed to. Again, there is nothing wrong with not having those things within that particular time frame where most people do. And the reason that I say that is because we all go at our own pace. There's a series of circumstances that happen for some people behind the scenes that you're not aware of. What about that person that bought a house, didn't have the money for a down payment, and mommy and daddy came along and said, "Here, little Joey, here's the money for your new house"? Do you get free money from your parents? I certainly don't. Or what about the person that's driving a nice car in their late teens? Guess where that car came from? Mommy and daddy. They gave it to them. I had a friend growing up that got a $30,000 brand new car when he was 18 years old. I didn't have that. I had a $3,000 starter car that I got when I was 16 because I had to do it myself. These are the things that nobody's going to talk about. Nobody's going to talk about this additional assistance that they had to get to where they are. Same thing with an education. You see people that go graduate and then they immediately start living this luxurious life, maybe vacationing all the time, and you're sitting there wondering, how is this possible? Think about those other factors that they're not going to talk about. And they don't want to talk about it because it discredits them. And they don't want to talk about the help that they received along the way. Nobody's going to put that on their highlight reel because they want the recognition, they want the validation. They want to be made to feel good as if they've accomplished this all on their own. So there's a different subset of folks out there where there are those that accomplish everything on their own, but there's also those that have help along the way. And if you don't have that helping hand to get you to where you want to be, don't feel bad about it. And also understand, going at your own pace, there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't graduate from college until I was 26 years old because I didn't know what I wanted to do. My initial thought process was I wanted to get into computer hardware engineering, and then over time I fell in love with business and decided that was the direction I wanted to take my life. So had I initially followed through with my goal of becoming a computer hardware engineer, I don't think I would be very happy right now with my choice. Taking that extra time, taking and figuring out what it is that you want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. With that subset of folks aside that have that additional assistance, that have that additional help, now you see the people that are coming up on 30. What's a traditional milestone for 30 years old? You should have 1 year's salary saved for retirement. This is a very common milestone for that age. How many people out there have 1 year's salary saved by the time they're 30? Don't worry, I'll wait. Not that many people. Especially not that many people that did things on their own. And if you've got that person that was able to do this and has a wife, has a kid, has a house, and they were able to save that much money, man, I'd be very curious to talk to them. How were you able to pull that off? Because maybe that person knows something that you don't know. And you got to think about that. As we're going through our life and we see these different milestones, and if you feel that you're a little behind, I don't want you to get deterred. I want you to understand that we all go at our own pace. There's nothing wrong with taking a little bit more time to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. Don't rush anything. There's no need for it. And if your family or those around you are putting pressure on you to do certain things, I myself have had friends put pressure on me to buy a house. I don't want to buy a house. I don't want to worry about any of that stuff, so I still rent. Is it a money issue? Of course not. But I don't want to deal with that. Now, there's people out there that do enjoy mowing the lawn, that do enjoy household maintenance and worry about that. For me, I want to pick up a phone, make a phone call, and keep moving on with my day. Different ideals. Some people would say that my way is wrong. We could argue both sides, but it's the way you choose to go about doing things in your life. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. I don't want to get married. That's not a goal of mine. My ideals when it comes to the traditional milestones of what society would deem correct for particular age groups, I don't identify with. Maybe you don't either. But even if you do, and you feel that pressure from that societal pressure coming down on you, that you should accomplish this or you should do that, I want you to realize and understand that it is okay. There is nothing wrong with taking your time and going at your own pace. Hopefully this video resonates with you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe down below if you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever felt that pressure put on you to accomplish certain things on somebody else's time frame, I want you guys to go at your own pace. Feel free to visit my website, r2btransformations.com. And with that, guys, I am out of here. Make today great.